Guys, good morning. Oof. It is. It was a good night last night. All right, let's get started. Sensational. Probably the best protein I've had taste-wise. The way it goes with the oats. We get about 45 grams in here. Oh shit, I got it one scoop. A little bit more. A little bit more. All right. Close enough. Grams really good enough. Don't have too much in there. Yep. Right, so I'm gonna put a not a huge tablespoon of this in as well. Some my sugar intake with certain degrees of my diet has gone up, so I don't want it to go up with everything that I consume. So wherever I can get sugar-free things and keep them in the diet, what I consume, I will. And this is a godsend. So chocoholic spread straight in there, about a tablespoon's worth. Oof, yes, looks good. This tastes like some macaroni and cheese, if you know what I'm talking about. Nah, but I'll be I'll be mature from now. That mac and cheese though. You can't tell me that doesn't look just absolutely sin. Let's look at the oh yeah, I like it thick as well. You know what I'm saying, with 2 C's. Yeah, that's the one. And then I always drizzle, okay, grab the handle, this on it, right here. Straight up. Trust me, it's such a good touch. Not too much, literally just covers the top of it. But yeah. You see that? Just the top. Just top. Yeah, boy. All right, let's eat. I can't be the only one that does this. Everywhere, well, pretty much most places I drive everywhere in sliders. Carry the trainers, put those on when I need to wear these. But any shop I go into, sliders. Anywhere I go, sliders. Unless it's like an actual event, sliders. Shoulders, the absolute bane of my life. Quite possibly my least favorite thing to train, but they still get the attention and love like all the other areas, so let's get into it. Okay, kicking things off with the barbell overhead press. This is one of the best shoulder builders ever, and I've only recently put this back into my training regime because I've had such great pretty much treatment on my shoulder since the crazy tendonitis I've had. This movement was pretty much a no-go, and also the barbell bench press, which is still a no-go, but now I can do this because of the treatment. And obviously the rehabilitation work I constantly do and mobility work I constantly do, I can get away with doing this now. So hopefully we can get the shoulders super wham. Was going for sets of 5 to 7 reps and weight range between 70 and 80 kilos per set. Typically with really heavy work, I have conditioned my body to be able to do quite a lot of reps, which is, you know, the thing for building muscle and a dense body is heavy weights and lots of reps. But with the shoulders being such a weak area, I have to build this strength up, especially after a prep and how extreme I kind of went with it. So building it back up is a must. So rep ranges between 5 and 7. And because the shoulders are so weak anyway, I'm pretty much hitting the wall after about the 5th to 6th rep anyway with the really heavy weight. So it is a win-win. And then hitting a ton of volume on the way down with drop sets to make up for that lost volume with the heavy work. Oh yeah, with the drop sets, I do go really extreme with these, simply because, well, this is not a drop set in this part of the video, but with the drop set, I did go really extreme because, again, I restricted the amount of reps I was doing with the heavy weight to focus on strength and execution, to build that strength on the shoulders, that baseline strength. So the rep ranges were like between like, I don't know, between, they're around 20 reps. So when I dropped down to like the 30s, I think 36s, I got like 12, 14 reps. And the 30s was like 2 goes of 20 reps with very minimal rest periods. So like real grinder reps, so it was the last 8 or 7 reps. Just to make up for that lost volume with the heavy weight at the start of the session or the start of the heavy pressing. For those that are wondering how to get that rounded look in shoulders and you're not getting it no matter what you do with presses and you're doing crazy drop sets, it's not working, you are playing with quote unquote accessory movements. It's that, in fact, stop thinking of lateral raises as accessory movements and putting the same amount of effort in lateral raises as you might do with the pressing. You will find that when you increase the effort and really go for developing your ability to execute the lateral raise, or your ability to execute lateral raise for a sustained period of time, you'll find your delts really get that pop and rounded look. That's what you're looking to do. So stop treating it as an accessory movement and doing 3 sets of 10 and thinking that's enough. Pour in a little more volume and you'll see a big difference in those delts. So after talking with my close ones, people that I consider, well, whose opinion I actually consider, they're honest, they're not just trying to kiss my ass and stuff like that. You don't want people like that in your corner, especially if you're trying to develop yourself to the best of your ability. You need people that are honest. So they've told me that the front delts need work. So alongside the overhead barbell press being integrated into the training, a lot of front raises have been as well, dumbbell front raises, to bring up that anterior deltoid and bring up that pop, especially in the front relaxed pose. Because I look a little sucked in there, I've noticed that, especially compared to the rest of me, it just looks a little weird. So we need to bring that right up. So every set, I was looking at, I think it was 14 reps, 5 or 6 sets, 6 sets, 14 reps. Then the last 2, I done 2 triple drop sets. Each drop set was inclusive of, can't even talk, inclusive of 15 reps per drop. So a lot of volume. This clip you're watching here was my last, the back end of my triple drop set. I literally tried my best to get the number 15, or was it 20? 15 reps, sorry, and the last one absolutely failed. It's okay to fail, especially in the pursuit of the reps that you've set yourself, especially because sometimes a drop set is to essentially go to failure. So failing to hit that means you hit your capacity at the time, try and get that next time. It's not really a big deal. Just make sure you hit that shit next time and try and get that number next time. Last but not least, you got to hit those rear delts. You got to smash every head of those deltoids. So here are the bent over reverse flies, okay, with the dumbbells. With this, guys, it's very simple to make sure you execute these right. Make sure you're obviously sat at the edge of the bench so you can bend over as much as possible and the dumbbells don't hit underneath the bench. Next up, make sure your elbows are as flared as possible to isolate the engagement of the rear delts. If they are close to the body, you won't feel it in the rear delts. You'll be able to lift heavy, yes, but you won't be able to feel it in the rear delts, hence why I'm lifting quite light here. And last but not least, pump in the volume. Minimum on a bad day, 12 reps, but I go for 15 reps. So stick to that rep range and you should be fine. Oh, that's so can't even talk. That shoulder session was elite. Absolutely finished. Can barely raise my arms, but yeah. So let's talk about bodybuilding. The parts that people don't really want to talk about. The parts that I think are important that people should know, because literally it's just not talked about too much. And I'm going to shed some light on it today. Alright guys, let's be honest. Bodybuilding is great. So as we know, it increases your strength, your power, your aesthetics, muscle, confidence to some degree. Gives you an outlet if you've got bad energy or just general energy that's just kind of not being used on a daily basis. Convert that into bodybuilding and building muscle is a great way to do it. To train hard is a great way to output that energy if you're an angry individual or just got energy. Like I said, just any sort of energy. It's great for that. Now let's talk about the bad side of competitive bodybuilding. So this is not bodybuilding on a daily. Like, I do bodybuilding every day, obviously. This is what I do. It's a very passionate hobby of mine, so I do it every day. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's when it's competitive, there are things that people don't like to talk about too much, and I'm going to talk about that in this video. Let's get straight into it. So, when you're competitive, you're very selfish. You don't really want to talk. You don't really want you don't want to mingle with anyone. You know, you got a very, 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 very low, like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's on the tip of my tongue. You got a lower, not temper. You got, your temper's through the roof. Like, you don't rage everything. You just have a very low tolerance. Your tolerance level will be so low, like literally the way people chew, the way people do things, the way people put down the weights in the gym, the way people dry, everything will piss you off. And I mean it. It's all about self-control. So remember that when you're getting into bodybuilding, your temper, your tolerance is going to be super low. That leads me to my next point. Now, if you want to find out if the relationship is real, take your other half through a bodybuilding prep, and you'll see if it's real. Okay, bodybuilding for a relationship. Now, this is where it gets juicy. All right, so let's start off with the less juicy stuff. We start off with bodybuilding. So when you're, let's say, not new in a relationship, but you've never gone through a prep with a partner, you have to be selfish. You know, they're gonna ask for your time and things like that, but your time is very rigid. You do this thing at a certain time, you train at this time, you do cardio at this time, you eat at this time. So going out and eating doesn't really happen. I'll be honest with you. Like, some people say, yeah, there are ways to do it and maintain a relationship and whatnot, but they don't. I'll be honest, those guys don't do too well in competitions, and there's not many of them out there that actually say that. Because the reality is you have to be a little bit selfish. You have to prioritize yourself, your food, what you do on a daily basis, and it almost feels like what they want is secondary. And I know it sounds bad, but it's just the way you function, especially if you're trying to be the best you. What they say when they moan about certain things, so for example, they might moan about, I wouldn't say moaning because it's a valid point, but when they bring up the point, should I say, about we don't spend much time together anymore, you know, we don't really go and do the things that we did before. You have to understand you're operating on much lower calories and a much higher output. It's one of the only sports, if not the only one in the world, where you're operating on lower calories and doing much, I mean 2 to 3 times more on a daily basis. It's the only one. So it's you've only got so much energy in a day, and it feels like going out and sitting at a bar where you can't even really drink properly, you can't even really enjoy it properly, is a waste of time. It feels like that. So when they want to do things, you have to understand that if you're going to take somebody into a relationship, if you're going to take somebody, a significant other, into a bodybuilding prep, it's going to put strain in the relationship. You won't be able to do the things you enjoy simply because of the rigid schedule you've created for yourself, or that your coach creates for you, or for the end goal. The end goal is, for whatever it may be, a pro card, just to get this win, for you to see where you place, to be the best you. At the end of the day, you need to be selfish. It's peak. So yeah, that's time, that's relationships, understanding the other person's needs, and you know, you're going to be selfish. It's very hard to think rationally when you're on prep, especially when you're on the low calorie days. My God, it's so hard. And everything that isn't to do with your schedule feels like a detriment. Everything. And that includes within the relationship, certain things in the relationship, it just feels like a detriment. So remember that when you're going into a prep, if you're in a relationship, that is one thing. Okay, the next thing. Just before we get to the juicy bit, Excuse me. The next thing is monetary. Money, finance, it's expensive. It's not cheap to do. The foods that you're going to be buying are, if you can afford it, are quality foods. If they're not that quality, then you'd rather just get quality foods and the same old foods over and over and over again. That's not just the most expensive bit though. I say you can get around that if you go to wholesalers like Costco, you go to butchers, family-owned butchers and things like that. You can save a lot of money there. It's the travel, hotels, paying for your pictures, paying for your tan and all, everything. A coach, you've got a coach, you've got to pay for the coach. It all adds up. It all definitely adds up. And I think it's a lot that people don't really, it's more money than people realize. It's more money than people realize. It's a little steep. So if you're not right financially, I wouldn't compete. It is a lot on your pockets if you're not secure financially or you don't have a solid stream or streams of revenue. I wouldn't advise it because you will be struggling unnecessarily. So get that shit sorted first and then compete. Last but not least, back to the relationships. Last but not least, the juicy part, your sex drive goes down the toilet. And I mean right down the shitter. Not like anybody asked, but naturally, I got a quite high sex drive. So it was it was interesting to realize how low your sex drive, out of my experience, my sex drive went super low. Like, I'm talking about when I got super lean. So at the start it was easy. For the first 2-3 months, no problem. It was all right, normal. Within the relationship, it was fine. And then, honestly, as I got leaner and leaner towards the last 3 competitions, it completely went. Like, I'm talking, you don't even want to have sex. You don't even want to. And you don't realize this until the partner points it out. Like until my fiance pointed out, I was like, when was the last time we had sex? What's going on? And I was like, yo, I didn't even realize. Like, and normal me is the polar opposite of that. So like, you don't gotta ask me to, you don't have to remind me to do that in the normal me now. But on prep, it goes low. Your sex drive, your libido is low as hell. And that's one thing that puts a massive strain in the relationship. When people say this puts strain in the relationship, this tests the relationship, that's one of the big fucking factors, not just going out, the bedroom. Everybody's got needs, right? But when you're bodybuilding, it's almost like the body shuts off that part of you. Like, you don't want to do it. It's so strange. And that does strain the relationship. I think that's one thing a lot of people need to consider. I would say if you are getting into bodybuilding, it's better to be single getting into bodybuilding. Or on the flip side, it could be good if you bring your partner in and they can get used to that period of life when you do prep, so they are accustomed to it, and if they are, they're a keeper. They are a keeper, believe me, keeper. But like I said, I'd massively say it's better to go in there single. It's better to go into a bodybuilding prep, a hard one where you're going to be thick skin lean, single. Because again, if that person has needs, has a high sex drive, or even a low sex drive, because you ain't even providing shit, it's gonna put a strain in your relationship. And that's one thing a lot of people do not talk about. It's like almost taboo to talk about that shit. How low your sex drive goes. It goes to zero, bottom level. You'd rather not waste energy. And it sounds insane, I know, because when I'm saying it back to myself now in this video and I'm listening to myself talk about it, it sounds like it's not even me, like a different person. But that's the reality of it. And that's one thing that needs to be considered, especially when you're when you want to get on stage, or you want to prep properly and win and, bring the best you and get lean as fuck. Consider that, okay? Sex drive, low as fuck. Shit happens. So, yeah, those are the things I'd really consider. Your tolerance for everything is low. Your temper, terrible. You just got to control that. It's all about self-control. That can be controlled. Finance cannot be controlled. You got to pay to do what you need to do, to travel where you need to travel to and whatnot. That's another one. And of course, the last one, I haven't got 3 fingers. Was that 3 points? Anyway, and the last one, of course, is the sex drive, libido being low as anything. It's low as fuck. So remember those points, guys, when getting into bodybuilding. Just the point is, because it's always good to promote the good, but it's good to know what you're getting into. And trust me, if you prep how you're meant to prep and get as lean as you're meant to get, and you really take this seriously, my voice and what I'm saying will ring in your ears. Oh, is there anything I would do differently going into a prep now after being on this prep and being the leanest I've ever been, going through the low sex drive, realizing how much it actually costs and whatnot, and being able to deal with other people while you're on such low calories? Is there anything that I would change to handle that better? For sure. I think you need to think before you speak and react, for the temper and the tolerance of people. When someone says something, it might not be that annoying, but when you're on prep and you're hungry, all right? So everything someone says, you think irrationally. You almost insult people in your head all the time. I was insulting everybody, and nobody was spared. I was insulting everybody in my head, man. I know I shouldn't say this, but it's the truth. It's the truth. I was just, God, I had to rein it in. It was a monster. It just wouldn't, it was relentless in my head, but I had to not show that. So when I was with clients, of course, you're with people. I'm a personal trainer. I'm with people all the time. I can't let them know they piss me off because they've got a technique wrong, or why are you not getting this right? You're so, you know, in your head, you're like, you are an evil creature. You just, all you want to do is eat. You just want to be left alone, but you got to make money, eh? So I think thinking before you react is what I've done quite well. The fiance told me I was way too rash with my reactions. So, you know, and obviously she's feisty as well. So it wasn't, you know, fighting fire with fire. Ain't the, you know, there's no winner there. So it's good for the relationship to think before you talk, especially on prep. Finances, nothing I'll do differently because like, glory to God, I've been good. I've been working hard and making sure my personal training business has been, you know, pretty much thriving. So I was able to do this quite comfortably. But it's still, you still notice the outgoing. It's not like you just become numb to how much you spend. You notice this, especially if you do your own accounts. It's a lot of money. So remember that, be in a good space. I wouldn't change that. And for the last thing, libido, there's nothing you can do. Like, you can it wasn't that bad when you put yourself in the situation, you get going. But I mean, you have to really get going. Like, you gotta you gotta really get going before things get going. You know where I'm coming from? Maybe not being so dismissive of it, and actually trying more, because you can actually perform or do what you need to do when you're in mode, but you have to really force yourself to get going. It's when you put yourself in such a, almost, let's call it a severe situation of the low calories and the high output, your body will prioritize certain things. And sex drive and libido, trust me, isn't one of them. Okay? A couple of friends of mine that were competing at the same time as me told me that they also got tested as well to see where their hormones were and whatnot. I think about between 3 and 4 people have told me directly that their testosterone was low. Like, so this confirmed what I was feeling at the time, and when I reminisce what I was experiencing. There's only so much you can do about that. That you know, you can't boost that up. Unfortunately, it is what it is. You just have to roll with the punches there. And just try more within the bedroom space, within the intimate space, and see if, you know, it's not as bad as you think it is. It's just the mind telling you don't want to do any of that stuff. But you have to remember you're with a partner. So if you're not with a partner, it's all gravy, yeah? You can turn that off for a little bit. But if you're with a partner, you gotta get things rolling, if you know what I mean. You gotta do it. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was informative. I hope it made you laugh and smile a bit, especially with the libido thing. Yeah, more content coming soon, more workout content coming soon as well. Stay tuned, like, share, subscribe, and all that YouTube malarkey. And your boy is out.